College football fans, black and gold fans, welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, the channel where we examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football, the only channel that's got you covered from coast to coast, point to point, across the entire college football landscape, where not only are black and gold fans of Iowa welcomed, but all fans of college football, welcome. If you've been looking for a safe haven, a gathering spot, a place to come together to share our love for all things college football, welcome home. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. It's great to be back with you once again, and this is my college football week 6 picks episode. I can't believe we're already coming up on week 6. It's just flying by as it does each and every year. But wow, what a huge week of college football games and matchups that we have on the docket. And I can't wait to supply you with my analysis, my insight, and my picks for the big upcoming games in this week. Now, before I say any more, thank you for all that you have done for the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. We continue to grow. Views, likes, subscriptions, comments are absolutely ascending and going up. But I need your help. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your fellow college football fans, your families, your coworkers to check me out here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, because I need your help to find more college football fans just like you. And as I say each and every episode, in case this is your first time joining the channel, I always welcome and ask for your participation. Please let your voice be heard. Exercise your right. Feel free to comment about anything that I say as far as my opinion, my analysis, my critique. I cannot wait to hear from you, fans, regardless of your team of fandom. I want to hear from you, so please like, share, comment below, and I promise you I will get back to each and every one of you sooner than later individually. All right, so here's what's on tap for this episode. Obviously, my picks for week 7 will be on the docket. Each and every week, I choose 13 games, and within those 13 games, I will have 4 specialty picks that I do each and every week. But before that segment, I will give you quickly my updated Heisman Trophy standings. As far as if I was to be filling out a Heisman Trophy ballot today, these would be the 4 individuals that I would be inviting to NYC to try to hoist and capture the most coveted trophy and award in college football. And then after that segment, I will give you my 4 big underdogs heading of week 7 as far as some teams that are underdogs, whether it be on the road or at home. Definitely those 4 games are some games that you might want to, pay a little close attention to, because I could see those 4 underdogs in those matchups pulling the upset. And then my final segment will be my pre-mentioned week 7 picks for the upcoming college football weekend. So without that, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. And please subscribe, comment, rate, share, get involved. I cannot wait to hear from you. And it has been an absolute pleasure for me to be here with you, sharing my love of all things college football with you on the weekly. It's been a great experience for me. And thank you for being here again and for your support of the channel. All right, so let's go ahead and get into my updated Heisman Trophy standings heading in to week 7. So these are the 4 cats that I would go ahead and fill out on my ballot if I was able to do that and submit it. So my 4 players heading into the upcoming weekend of college football in alphabetical order. I've got Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. I get it. He's a tight end. We don't see usually this position get any Heisman Trophy love. But if you haven't watched him, he is absolutely one of the best players in college football, period. He deserves to be on the ballot. Next, I've got from LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels, who I had off of last week's short list, but after that performance we saw last weekend on the road against Missouri and Columbia, definitely was a Heisman type performance and outing for Jayden Daniels. So welcome back to the short list. Next, quarterback from Washington, Michael Penix Jr., who I've had on this list from day one. Preseason, he was one of the 4 candidates I did predict would be invited to New York City for a chance to win this coveted award. And my final person on my Heisman Trophy shortlist is USC quarterback Caleb Williams, who is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner from last season. Another one of the 4 that I also predicted would be in the running for the Heisman Trophy preseason, along with Jayden Daniels from LSU and wide receiver from Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr., rounded out my personal top 4 for the Heisman Trophy. Now, I'm also going to give you a short list, the best of the rest. These are 3 individuals who absolutely are kind of in the waiting room, who they still will have the opportunity to get on that short list to make a Heisman Trophy case and push for themselves. Some of these cats have been on that short list, but then moved down a little bit based on their performances or just the better performances of other candidates. So the 3 best of the rest, and these are the individuals that I think can and will at some point get on that short list. We have from Ohio State, wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. We have quarterback from Oregon, Bo Nix. And finally, quarterback from Florida State, Jordan Travis. And like I said, each one of these individuals will have the opportunity to either rise or fall when it comes down to my standings. A perfect example is this upcoming week, a huge clash of Pac-12 powerhouses. Oregon travels to Washington. They meet up in Seattle. So let's say Bo Nix has that Heisman moment, that game, that performance. Could he then move up into that short list and replace his counterpart, Michael Penix Jr., or somebody else? Possibly and potentially. So that's why I give you my list, my short list of the 4 finalists and the best of the rest. And I do update those each and every week. So please comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think about my Heisman Trophy candidates. Do you agree? Disagree? Is there somebody in your opinion that I left off my list? Please let me know, and I can't wait to hear from you. So with that being concluded, that takes us to our next segment, one of my favorite segments. There it is. That can mean only one thing. That's right. Take it away, underdog. All right, now it's time for me to share with you my 4 underdogs here in upcoming week 7 as far as the point spreads and the chances that I see those underdogs being able to pull the ultimate upsets and walk away with the victory. So let's go ahead and get started with my week 7 underdogs. First of all, my small dog, let's maybe call it the Chihuahua of the week, the small breed. Wake Forest travels to Virginia Tech. Wake finds themselves a 1.5 point underdog, so a very small spread. And I think this Wake team is definitely very capable of going on the road and taking care of the Hokies in their house, a Virginia Tech team that has been so inconsistent. Now, Wake absolutely lost a lot of firepower from the Wake Forest team of the previous season, but I believe and trust in Coach Dave Clawson, one of the best, most unknown, underrated coaches in the nation, and plus one of the best mascots in the entire nation as well, the Demon Deacons. How can you not get behind a demonic clergy member? I mean, you got to love that. So that's my small dog of the week. Now, my medium dog of this week, let's maybe call this the Corgi, perhaps. We've got Troy travels to Army to take on the Cadets, the Black Knights at Michie Stadium. And Army at home is a 4.5-point underdog via the current spread here on Thursday, the 12th. And obviously, some of these numbers, guys, in the next couple days can move either way. This is just as of today when I am filming this episode. So Army, a 4.5-point underdog at home. Troy, definitely a solid team out of the Sun Belt, one of the best rushing attacks in all of the nation. If you look at the leaders as far as rushing yards, I mean, they are right up there, both individually and as a team. And historically, Army does not have a huge home field advantage per se, but I love watching the Cadets. They get down, they're into it, they're passionate, and at least we know who Army is. That awesome triple option that they run to a T to perfection. I think if Army can just do what they do, possess the ball, increase that time of possession, which then keeps Troy's offense off the field and limits their possessions, I think Army is able to pull this game off at home. And that would be a great salute to you, the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces. So Army is my medium dog of this week. Now my large dog this week. Let's go ahead and say this one is the Doberman Pinscher this week. We have BYU travels to TCU, and the Cougars of BYU, they find themselves a 6-point underdog on the road at the Horned Frogs. Now, let me explain this one sec. Now, yes, TCU was the national title runner-up last season, but this is a much different TCU team than what we had last season. No longer there is Max Duggan, their Heisman Trophy finalist at quarterback. And this is a TCU team, guys, that just lost last week at a very, very average, at best, Iowa State team. Now, no disrespect to Iowa State, but that's just who they are. And TCU got absolutely whipped in Ames by the Cyclones. So BYU has looked very solid and consistent lately. You know what you're going to get out of the Cougars under Coach Satake. They're going to be very, very physical and controlling along the lines of scrimmage. They're going to body blow you along those lines of scrimmage and just punch you into submission. So I definitely think, and I'd like BYU to get this road victory down in Fort Worth against TCU. So keep a look on that. So BYU is my large dog of the upcoming Week 7. Now my big dog, or my XL dog of the week, the St. Bernard or the Great Dane. Cal travels to number 16, Utah. Cal is a 12-point underdog against Utah up there at Rice-Eccles in Salt Lake City. Now, you guys know me. If you've watched my previous episodes, you know I love me some Utah football. I mean, they kind of mirror the same style that Iowa does. Well, Iowa of typical years, because Utah actually has an offense. But I love how they have shared similar styles of play. Strong defense, run the ball first and second, and strong special teams. And they don't hurt themselves with penalties or turnovers. But I'm a little bit weary about this Utah team. We still have not seen last year's starting quarterback Cam Rising take a snap yet in a game situation. He is still recovering from a knee injury. The latest update that I've seen as of yesterday out of Salt Lake City is Coach Kyle Whittingham knows what he's going to do as far as this quarterback situation, but he's not letting it be known publicly. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Cam Rising may finally play this season? Yes, or potentially no. So in this Utah team, their defense will keep them in any game, but I think they finally have been exposed. It's going to be tough for them to manufacture points. And the thing about this Cal Golden Bears team, all right, Coach Wilcox is absolutely on the hot seat. They have a lot of experience on this Cal team, but they didn't have any real experience at the most important position, being quarterback, prior to this season. But they're not having a problem scoring points. This Cal team can put points on the scoreboard in pretty big numbers, actually. It just comes down to, can they make enough stops on defense? So 12 points is a big point spread, but I think Cal absolutely has a chance to go to Salt Lake City and pull a huge upset this upcoming weekend over Utah. So guys, that is my 4 underdogs for the upcoming week 7. Let me know what you think about my underdogs' chances, or if there's another legit point spread that you look at and say, yeah, what about this team's chances against that team? Please add it to the comments. I'll get back to you and let you know what I think. I'm sure I probably noticed it, but I'll holler back at you and let you know why I didn't include them. So please comment, subscribe, share. Please get involved, and I can't wait to hear from you. So that wraps up week 7's underdogs going into the weekend. Gotta love some Hanna-Barbera cartoons, back to my childhood with Underdog. There it is. All right. All right, guys, that leads us to the last segment, which is the one I know you've all been waiting for. It is my Week 7 Picks segment, my favorite segment each and every week. It brings joy and happiness to us all. I know you've been waiting. I know you can no longer contain yourselves. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, simmer down now. Take it easy. Take it easy. Let me get to it. So, if this is your first time joining the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, as I mentioned in the open, each and every week, I do my own stunts here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. No edits, no retakes, no dress rehearsals. I just click, record, wrap up, send, boom, and post. Because if I had to do real work, editing and adding cool backgrounds and music, that sounds like a lot of work to me. I've already got a legit job, 2 children, so this is a strict hobby for me. Each and every week, I pick 13 games, and most of these games are the big games that all of you college football fanatics are aware of, but there are a couple off the cusp, off the radar games that I definitely want to give attention to and keep you in the know about. And within those 13, I always pick 4 specialty games. Each and every week, I have my Academy Game of the Week, which will feature one of the 3 Academy teams, Army, Air Force, or Navy, as my way to say thank you and salute the men and women, both past and present, of the United States military for their service and their sacrifice. Then I will always pick my group of 5 matchup of the week. And I've got a great one this week, which is really going to go far, especially for that coveted New Year's 6 bowl bid for the representative of the group of 5 to have. Then each and every week that my Iowa Hawkeyes play, I will always pick the Iowa game each and every week. And then my final specialty game is my spotlight game of the week, which is the biggest matchup of the weekend. And it's no surprise where I'm going this week. My eyes are turning west. And quite frankly, week 7 coming up is all about the West Coast. It just is. The West Coast is completely up for grabs. It's nationally viewed. It is all about the West Coast teams coming up here in week 7 on full display. And I'll mention those as I discuss and pick them here in a little bit. But finally, to wrap it up before I get to my picks, last week, yours truly went 8-5, had a decent week. So far on the season, I currently sit 56-22. That's good for a 72% correction rate. And my goal preseason, at the end of the regular season, I wanted to be 70% or better. So currently I am on track to be above that goal of 70% or better. But I did drop a little bit last week after that aforementioned 8-5 record. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And please let me know what you think. Go ahead, comment about my critique, my analysis, my insight to these games. Whether you agree, disagree, you can tell me to piss off if you want. You can call me a dirty SOB. Fine, I'm a big boy, I can take it. But let's just try to keep those comments adult-like, the best we can. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it right now. Now, my first game that I selected is a Big 12 tilt. It's a kind of off-the-cusp kind of matchup, but I'm really giving kudos to Iowa State after that big victory last week at home against TCU. First game up is Iowa State travels to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is one of those newer members this season of the Big 12 Conference, but they are yet to record a Big 12 Conference victory, so there is a lot on the line. A little bit of celebration for ISU, and Cincinnati, definitely a winnable game at home in front of their fans to make history and record their first ever Big 12 Conference victory. I think when I look at the numbers of this game, it really comes down to stats. And we all know that normally stats do not lie. They can be a little misleading from one game to 10 games later, but normally they are pretty consistent. And I look at the stats of this game and the matchup. I just think Cincinnati is just a little bit better team, both offensively and defensively. I think this is going to be a slugfest, but maybe potentially a very ugly game. But I do like Cincinnati to get it done in front of the home folks and send them all home happy, tasting victory for the first time as a Big 12 member. So give me the Bearcats in that matchup. Next game, big tilt in the Big 10, and another one of those sort of off-the-radar kinds of games. We've got Michigan State. Sparty travels to Piscataway to take on Rutgers. Michigan State coming off of a bye week. And one of the best unknown, untalked about stories so far this college football season are the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Rutgers sits 4-2, which they need one more victory to get that much closer to that coveted 6th win to get that 13th game. But if you followed my advice, I told you preseason to go ahead and bet the over on Rutgers. Vegas said their win total was 4.5. I said take the over. So they win one more game. My wallet's going to get a little bit fatter, so I can't wait for that. But what a great story. I mean, Rutgers is playing very solid, consistent, good football. They do still have a lot of work to do there at Rutgers, but Coach Schiano is finally starting to see some of this work and effort pan out. And if they get this victory, they still get to play Indiana, which gives them a great opportunity for that 6th win. And I do think potentially Rutgers could maybe slow Maryland's offense down a little bit. But as far as this game, Michigan State coming off a really, really poor showing against my Hawkeyes 2 weeks ago at Kinnick Stadium. Young quarterback, a lot of penalties, a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes. I think that's something that Rutgers will exploit. And I like the home team in this matchup. I'm taking Rutgers to get that 5th win and to make me a little bit of moolah, dough, Dolores, dollar, whatever you want to say, bread. That's what I'm looking for. So give me Rutgers in that matchup. Next game, a big-time tilt in the SEC. Texas A&M travels to number 19 Tennessee. A&M is coming off a tough loss at home last week against Alabama. So that hot seat for Jimbo Fisher continues to warm up. And I think if they end up losing this game in Knoxville on Rocky Top, those opinions, those rumors are going to continue to increase. And I think also for Coach Josh Heupel at Tennessee, that Tennessee fans know that this is not the same Tennessee from last year. There's no more Hendon Hooker. All of those stud wide receivers are gone. But they know that, but they maybe don't want to face that. So if they happen to lose this game at home, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Coach Josh Heupel, and there will be. Oh, boy. I love A&M's defensive front. They get after it. They're nasty. But I just love that home field advantage, 100,000 plus inside Neyland Stadium, singing Old Rocky Top, the checkered end zones. I think that'll be the difference. I think Joe Milton, the quarterback for Tennessee, he must limit his mistakes. Just don't put the offense in a bad position. Take what A&M gives you. Be smart. And I think they will ultimately grab the victory. So I'm taking Tennessee at home in this game, but there is a chance that A&M exploits or takes advantage of something. I'm always concerned about a certain thing, and what that thing is, I will let him tell you what it is.
It's a trap.
That's right. This is our first potential trap game of Week 7 that I mentioned. Next week, Tennessee travels to Alabama. So Tennessee might be maybe looking ahead a little bit to the mighty Crimson Tide, but they better not, because A&M could absolutely then come into Knoxville and steal a victory. But I'm taking Tennessee in this game. Next matchup, big time tilt in the Big 12. Number 25 Kansas travels to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. Now, Kansas more than likely will be without dynamic quarterback Jalen Daniels. I mean, the guy's an absolute stud. He's had this reoccurring back issue. He's fighting some back tightness the entire season. It looks like he's not going to play, but he did not play in last week's game where Kansas absolutely did some dirty dancing on UCF. And Oklahoma State, last time out, last week at home against Kansas State, they look like a much different, better ball team. I mean, they made Kansas State look really, really bad, unprepared, uninspired. Maybe it simply was that, or maybe this Oklahoma State team is now kind of, starting to get things going, maybe getting some traction, getting a little bit more inspiration and kind of bringing it together. We'll have to wait and see. I do think Oklahoma State will play a very inspired, tough game inside Boone Pickens Stadium. But I just think even without Jalen Daniels, guys, I am high on this Kansas team with all of the starters. Basically, their entire starting offense is back from last year. I love this team. They're dynamic. And yes, I've been saying preseason, I will keep saying it, I do expect Kansas to advance to the Big 12 title game to face either Texas or Oklahoma. So give me the Jayhawks to get a very, very important yet close victory on the road. Give me the Jayhawks, rock chalk in this matchup. Next game, I've got a big game in the SEC, especially to the local Yokos. If you don't know, I currently preside in Missouri, the Show Me State. A lot of my friends, family members are Missouri Tiger alums and fans. So Missouri travels to number 24, Kentucky, and gonna be an interesting game. Difference of styles. Both teams are coming off losses last week, but in different types of losses. Missouri had a golden opportunity at home to defeat LSU in a back and forth game. Ultimately, LSU just had too much offensive firepower for them. They lost at home to LSU in a very, very competitive game, while Kentucky last week traveled to number 1 Georgia, and it was not competitive. Got absolutely embarrassed. I believe Georgia put up a 50-burger on them, but yet Kentucky still finds themselves ranked. Don't really understand that, to tell you the truth. So these teams are really looking to have a good bounce-back game to pick themselves off the mat. Missouri, if this comes down to a scoring fest, Missouri can outscore Kentucky, but Kentucky, when you look at the last 5 seasons, when these two teams have met, they have basically all been one-possession games. This is quietly beginning to becoming one of the best matchups and rivalries in all of college football. No matter how good or bad either team is, this is always a close matchup between these two schools, and Kentucky just seems to be the thorn in the side of Missouri. I think they'll be able to do what they do, control the time of possession, control the pace of play, because that's what they want to do. They want to run first and second, control the lines of scrimmage. I think Kentucky just finds a way, once again, to be that thorn in their side, and they send Missouri home with a very, very sour taste in their mouth. I'm taking the Wildcats at home in a very, very close one-possession game. So give me the Wildcats in that matchup. Next game up, a game that's lost a little bit of its luster because of the awful play calling we saw last week by Coach Mario Cristobal. Big one in the ACC, number 25 Miami travels to Chapel Hill to take on number 12 North Carolina and stud quarterback Drake May. I don't really quite know where the psyche of Miami is after what took place, that debacle that happened last week at the very end of the game when Georgia Tech snuck out of South Beach with a victory due to not taking a knee. I don't know where they are mentally. Physically, they might be a little bit drained. I do know this: Kentucky offense is all over the yard. Drake May can sling it like very few in the game. I love Mac Brown. I love this offense. And I actually like North Carolina to win big. I think this is one of those kinds of losses for Miami last week that very easily can turn and will turn into their second loss in a row. So I'm taking the Tar Heels in that matchup. Next game up, one of those matchups where the West Coast is on full display. I'm talking about the yearly Shillelagh matchup, the ancient rivalry. Number 10 USC travels to South Bend to take on number 21 Notre Dame. Touchdown Jesus will be in the building. Notre Dame is really trying to look to just erase that awful, this very soft showing last week at Louisville, where they got absolutely embarrassed physically along the lines of scrimmage. I think maybe that was a little bit of a look ahead last week for Notre Dame. I think Louisville is a good team, but I don't think they're all that good. That's just my take on the Louisville Cardinals. I think there's still a little bit of smoke and mirrors. And USC is still trying to bring it all together. We know what Caleb Williams can do and what he is doing. He is putting up game, PlayStation type numbers offensively. I mean, just all over the place. They're going to score 50, 60 points. But can that defense win them games? It's been so close the last 2 weeks. I think their luck runs out. And I believe luck is with the Irish. I think Notre Dame gets back to their physical style of football, and they really are able to control the game. I think it might end up being a 14-point game, 10 points. But I think it's going to be one of those that's going to look a little bit closer on the scoreboard than what it really is when you look at the stats or when you look behind the lines. So give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in this matchup. Can't wait to watch that one Saturday night. One of those games that whether if you like Notre Dame or USC, it's just historic. If you're a college football fan, that's one of those matchups that you just can't miss every year because of the history of those two programs and how long this matchup has been going on. Each and every year it matters for the college football playoff ramifications, national titles, the seasons before the playoff or BCS was even formed. Huge matchup each and every year. Next game is a big-time game in the ACC. NC State, the Wolfpack, another one of my favorite mascots in all the nation. They travel to number 17, Duke. And guys and gals, if you haven't seen Duke play, they are for real. They are legit. But they might be without their starting quarterback, Riley Leonard, who was a little bit shaken up a couple weeks ago against Notre Dame, I believe with an ankle injury. His status is unknown. I think that even without him, this team is so battle-tested. They have all of these starters back. Coach Mike Elko is doing a hell of a job in his second year at Duke, and they are no fluke. I love how that rhymed there, by the way. I think NC State and quarterback Brennan Armstrong will put up some numbers against them, but even without their quarterback, I still like the Blue Devils to win at home. Give me Duke to send the home crowd there in Durham home happy. So the Blue Devils in that matchup. But Duke, be aware. Do not look ahead. They do have a huge matchup next week. They travel to Florida State. Going to be a huge, huge game in the ACC. So that's definitely a what kind of game is that, Admiral?
It's a trap.
Thank you, Admiral Akbar, in midseason form. So definitely a trap game potential for Duke. So don't be looking past visiting NC State. Next matchup, big time game. Another one of these games where the West Coast is on full display. You have number 18 ranked UCLA. They traveled to Corvallis to take on number 15 Oregon State. You talk about two physical defenses going at each other. Both teams want to control the ball. They do want to do a lot of play action. Man, I cannot wait to watch this game. It's going to be another one of those slugfests. DJ Uiagalelei, bleh. DJU is completely reinvented himself. The transfer quarterback from Clemson, who now has found a brand new home in Corvallis. I love what he's doing. Oh, man, I tell you, I love this young quarterback for UCLA, Moore. He's an absolute playmaker, a guy that is eventually going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. But in Corvallis, I think it's one of those home field advantages that people just don't identify with, but they have it. They're tough to beat up there. Give me the Beavers and Oregon State at home in Corvallis to take care of the mighty Bruins. Oregon State in that matchup. And that is my final pick. Now the next four coming up are my specialty picks of Week 7. So as of this point, comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think about my picks, my analysis. I'm going to get a quick drink of water. Salute. All right. So now let's move on to my four specialty picks for Week 7. And my first one is my Academy game of the week. And this is a big one, guys. I mean, I'm so happy that this is taking place. The Mountain West this year, guys, is completely legit. Not L for loser, but legit. Too legit to quit, as Hammer would have said. Yeah, that's right. Not MC Hammer, mind you, Hammer at that time. Wyoming, the Cowboys, fresh off of last week's upset at home in Laramie against number 24 Fresno State. They traveled to Colorado Springs to take on undefeated Air Force. Mount Mountain West leadership is completely on the line. Wyoming has one loss on the season at Texas, and they gave Texas all they could handle for 3 quarters. So both teams undefeated in Mountain West play. This is a 7 o'clock kickoff here Central Time. Can't wait to watch this one in prime time. Man, I love this game. I love Air Force, everything that Coach Calhoun has done there for the Falcons. It's hard for me to root against them because, A, they are an academy as well. But I am very high on this Cowboys team. I mean, watching them defeat Texas Tech in opening week, I saw something special in this team. And they back that up by knocking off Fresno State, as I just mentioned. I think they find a way. They're a fellow elevation team. Laramie is the highest elevation of any college football stadium in the country. They travel to the elevation of Colorado Springs. They find a way to take out Air Force. I like the Cowboys. Give me Wyoming in this matchup, but I would be totally okay if I'm wrong on this one, guys. Now, next, I have a double feast this week of a group of 5 football. I have my group of 5 matchup this week. Huge matchup in the Sun Belt East Division. The Georgia Southern Eagles travel to James Madison to take on the Dukes, who come in undefeated overall. Georgia Southern has 1 loss on the year. That was at Wisconsin. So both teams undefeated currently in Sun Belt play. Man, I love this matchup. Georgia Southern's coached by former USC coach Helton. And JMU, I mean, what a great story for the Dukes. I mean, this is their 2nd year at the FBS level. Last year, they were a success. They should have played in the Sun Belt Championship game, but because of that stupid rule, first year during transition, you are not eligible to play in a bowl game or a championship game. Just absolute travesty. I love JMU. I think they take care of the Eagles at home. Give me James Madison, the Dukes, in this one. Now, next, my Hawkeye game pick of the week. Huge game in the Big Ten West Division. Well, and I'll say it, the mediocre, average at best Big Ten West Division. The Heartland Trophy is on the line. Iowa, they travel to Madison to take on the Badgers in Madtown. And whoever wins this game, I said it before, I don't necessarily think the winner of this game will win the Big Ten West. I think the winner of this matchup is absolutely out to the lead to claim the West Division title. But it's been so topsy-turvy. Nothing is guaranteed in this division. They're expecting some pretty nasty weather, rain pretty much the entire day, gusty conditions. Maybe that then kind of neutralizes this game. Wisconsin's passing attack versus Iowa's non-vertical passing attack. So then it's going to come down, I think, to running backs. Wisconsin's got Braylon Allen. We all know he's a stud. He's going to get his. All Iowa needs to do is keep him in check. Maybe give him 1, maybe 2 scores, but don't let him be the difference maker. I think this is going to be a really, really close game. Wisconsin's favored by 9.5 points. I think Iowa keeps it close, but ultimately, I just think Wisconsin, with all the jumping around, their home crowd, I think they'll find a way to get it done. I just hope that quarterback Deacon Hill can make some improvement, but continue to not make a lot of mistakes. Just keep your team in the game. Gonna be defensive struggle, special teams, but I just think Wisconsin comes out on top. Give me the Badgers in this matchup. Now, finally, my spotlight game of the week, the game that all of you have been waiting on. You can't wait to watch it. You can't wait for me to pick it. I know, just hang on. All right, I get you. Hold on. Another one of those West Coast games, and it is an absolute clash of Pac-12 powers. A battle of 2 undefeateds, 2 top 10 teams meet up in Seattle. Number 8, Oregon. The Ducks travel to Washington. Number 7, Washington. I mean, not just Pac-12 championship ramifications, but absolute college football playoff ramifications. And as I mentioned earlier this episode, definitely some Heisman Trophy ramifications as well. You've got Oregon, who I think is definitely a better defensive team than Washington. But I think Washington's their offense. It's impossible to really limit them. You can slow them down, but I've been saying this for weeks. I think Washington is the most dangerous team in the nation because of that offense and how well Maestro Michael Penix Jr. is conducting that offense. Can't wait to watch this game. I think Bo Nix and the Ducks will be game. They'll be down. But in Seattle, we all know how crazy that fan base is. They love their sports up there in the Pacific Northwest. I just can't. I just can't go against the home team. I like Washington to get this one done. But don't be surprised if we see these two teams meet once again later this season in the Pac-12 title game, which then the big prize is what they're going to be playing for, that college football playoff berth. So give me the Huskies in this week's matchup. Woo! So guys, we made it. That's it. That's today's episode, my Week 7 picks episode. Please, once again, I ask for your participation. I want it. I ask for it. Please get involved. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Let's continue to spread the word about the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Thank you for your time, your attention today. Enjoy the rest of your work week, your school week. Enjoy the upcoming weekend, the football, your families, your hobbies. And I can't wait to get back with you again. Look for me on Monday afternoon, where I'll be bringing to you my Week 7 review and recap episode, which will review and recap everything that was during Week 7 in case you miss it. So until then, guys, have a good one. Thank you for all that you do for the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, and I'll see you soon. Adios. Bye-bye. Go Hawks.